Tune in to the Dating Advisory Board show, Wednesdays at 6 p.m. to learn how to lead your love life like a CEO leads a company, the Business of Dating show. We discuss how to approach romance like you would approach the boardroom, with confidence, grace, and focus. Learn how to advocate for your needs, brand you, determine your core non-negotiables, create a board of advisors, and more. After all, the key to success is collaboration, both in business and personal relationships. Make sure that the reflection in the mirror is the best version of yourself before you start swiping right. This is Jen Hecht, Chairwoman of the Dating Advisory Board, and welcome to the show. Welcome to the Dating Advisory Board. Oh, do we have a show for you tonight? I'm so excited. I have a few of the co-authors of the book, Born to Be Me. Yay!
Yay! Hey, everyone.
How are ya? So, if you have not picked up your copy, go on Amazon.com right now, pick up your copy. It is #1 international bestseller.
Oh, my gosh.
Yes. Thank you.
One more time.
That's awesome. I love the bell. I mean, there's going to be a lot of bell ringing tonight, okay? Just saying. But no, we're so excited. I mean, this is an amazing book. We're so proud to be a part of it. And there's 19 total authors who wrote their authentic true stories, who had the courage to speak. And we got Carol on the line. There she is. We would not be able to do it without you.
Hi, Carol.
Hi. Hey, Carol.
And we're waiting for Mima. She's running in traffic. Shocker, DC traffic. True story.
Oh, yeah.
More true stories.
More true story, hashtag. So, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of background on our guest today. So we have Molly Pompaditz. She is the founder and CEO of the SOAR Community Network, which is an amazing organization. And she's an author, speaker, marketing strategist, podcaster, and executive producer of Tea with Molly. So
Hello.
Welcome, Molly.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited. I can't sit still.
It's going to be a good show. I'm excited. And then we have Elaine Espinola-Keltz on the show. Welcome. She's a speaker, spokesperson, TV host, and Mrs. DC America 2015.
That's right. I always do this.
I love it.
Especially when I'm in DC.
That's right. And she continues to promote her platform, empowering women through entrepreneurship, which is key. Elaine is also the founder and executive director of Media Savvy, a consulting company that offers innovative solutions to brand and market business through media interactions. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
That's so
Thank you. Always love being here on the Dating Advisory Board.
Oh, thanks. It's fun. We have a good time. And I'm going to give intro to Mima because she's not here, just so we know. So Mima Carmo is a best-selling author and CEO of the Tiger Lily Foundation, and she's been a huge inspiration to me and so many others around the world. And she actually has an event coming up on December 15th. So if you have not signed up, sign up for I Manifest Bliss. It will transform your life, and it will sell out. So make sure you go and get your tickets. And then get the book, too. It's right here. Just like in case you didn't, it's right in this region, right there. So Carol, let's talk with you first. I mean, you are the brainchild behind this. I want to hear all the background of creative publishing, and because Carol, let me give a brief background for you though. She's the director, storytelling, and creative publishing group, international best-selling author and writer, and founder and owner of the Traveling Sisterhood for Inspired Women. Yay! Carol, we love you.
We love you over here.
And Carol's in Canada.
So. I am. I'm in Toronto, and I had the pleasure of meeting all of you in DC not that long ago. So
it was a great time.
I'm thrilled. Yeah. And at the Manifest Your Bliss event. So it was really, really awesome. And it was, I mean, we had connected for so long that, it seemed like we knew each other already.
Yes. Well, you just have that kind of connection with people, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, this whole book is about the sisterhood folios, right? It's about sisterhood, about collaboration and not competition. And Molly always says that. Mm-hmm. Collaboration before competition, which is amazing. And it took, a lot of courage for people to write their stories. My story in here, you don't know half of that. You know a little bit. Maybe she does know it. But I'm just saying a lot of people wouldn't know. And because, I always say based on Facebook, even though we're on Facebook Live here, when people post stuff, they're not posting what they're going through on the daily basis because then people would judge you. And I think that's something. But I like the authenticity that people put themselves out there for the world to see and to say that you're not alone.
You know what, Jen? I was telling someone about the book, and I said it's almost like 19 women shared their diary with you, and you were able to open it up and take a little sneak peek, not of the entirety of their lives, but of a chapter, if you will, of their lives. And I mean, because that's how kind of real. And we were talking about getting to know you and feeling like old friends. And of course, I know I do because I'm sharing stuff with you, Carol, when I wrote my first script that I sent to you, not script, but my chapter, that you kind of helped me, kind of push me to go deeper and deeper. And so that was previously stuff I only shared in my own personal journal. So
Right.
I definitely felt like I got to know you well, and you certainly got to know us well through the process.
Yeah, you know what? I think that the whole thing is that it's providing a safe space for you to share your stories. So I always say, just like, you know, how Elaine, I had made you rewrite and you had told me things, unless it's published and public knowledge, everything else is sacred. Everything else is confidential. So there's a lot of things that never end up on paper, but it's through the process of writing that it's necessary to share and to kind of get through and get deeper. And I really believe that it's to make your voice heard.
Absolutely.
And it inspires others. Not only is it a cathartic experience, and I'm sure you can elaborate on that when you know, as far as your own writing experience and your growth throughout the whole, the whole writing, and then finally reaching #1 international bestseller, that whole transformation. But I think that when you end up having all of these women together, there's a common thread, and also knowing that you are going to inspire all that read.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's true. And so tell us a little bit about how the background, like your thought, like when you created this. I mean, this is genius. I mean, just to bring, you know, people together and really have a strong voice. I mean, it's just so powerful. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Well, a few years ago, I started the Traveling Sisterhood, and the traveling meaning the journey. And it was to offer us, again, a safe space for women to share and lift women up and make them understand and realize that they're not alone. And that's before everybody was posting positive memes and things like that. There wasn't a group like that out there for women in the community. There were groups for entrepreneurs, but there wasn't really a group out there that really there was no judgment. There's no drama. There's no judgment. It's not about what you do for a living. It's who you are as a person. And this is from chaos to clarity. And through that whole process, I think, again, it was about inspiring others. And from that, I knew the sisterhood component needed to go right through in a book format.
Yeah. And you have some other upcoming. You got some books coming up too. Some additional books that are Rebel Rising. We have Rebel Rising coming up.
We have Ignite Your Inner Warrior.
Ignite Your Inner Warrior.
Rebel Rising. And it's great.
I know. I can't wait. I'm going to
Super
do Rebel
excited.
Rising.
Are you?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yes. Awesome. Good.
Like,
More
could you-
collaborations in the future, I see.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
So, all right. Well, let's talk about your chapters. Right. So, who wants to go first? Carol, you want to go first on your chapter?
No, you guys go.
Okay. All right. All right, Elaine, you want to go?
Sure. So my chapter is entitled Perspective. I think it's chapter 8.
Page 183.
There you go. Thank you for that. Page 183. And, I kind of focused on finding happiness through your own personal perspective. So my whole chapter, without giving it too much away, because you're going to have to go on Amazon and get the book to really read the whole chapter. But it's really just talking about the experiences, Jen, that I have gone through, that I have observed, that I have experienced, either as a participant or just, again, an observer of the world. I focus a lot about some of the travels that I've done and the things that I have seen there, and then how it has affected me And I just talk a lot about life being a lot of ups and downs, and that's life. And it's taken me all of these years to realize that that's just the way it's going to be. That's just the way it always is. It's never always up and it's never always down. It's all of those things, sometimes on the very same day, and you can still find happiness through your own perspective of gratitude and having just sort of a positive perspective. And so I write a lot about the experiences and how I kind of move forward in positivity, always in search of happiness, which I think is the goal of life.
Yeah,
honestly.
absolutely. And can you give us some tips that we can do, like just on starting our day? I mean, this goes for all. I mean, everyone kind of gives tips because we each are very similar in that respect, right? And how you start your day matters. So let's just kind of go down the row
Sure.
do you wanna go first?
Yeah. I tend to start my day. I always say that I try to lead with purpose. So I don't just do things by accident. I don't just have a great day by accident. I do it on purpose. I'm really conscientious about my actions, my attitude, and I talk about that a lot with my kids and just focusing on what's really important to me, which is family, and then us all having a really positive attitude because it's contagious. Mm-hmm. It's really contagious. So that's one thing that I do.
Yeah. I love how you say that. I always say that to my son when he's walking out to the bus stop, my oldest. I was like, walk with pursuit, walk with passion. Like that. He's like, Mom.
Does he get a swagger on when you say that?
Oh,
Walk
yeah.
with passion.
Yeah, walk with passion, walk with pursuit. And then he'll say to my youngest son, he's like, stay with the group. It was so cute.
You know what? And then we wrap up our day. So I tend to think that way when I wake up. I try and talk to my kids about it. But then every night at dinner, I always say, what was the best part of your day and what are you grateful for? So I try and bring it back, and wake up that day, go to bed that way, and then keep moving because, I just feel like it's a habit to think in that way, and I want to make it consistent.
No, I love that. Molly?
I love what she said. It's all about habits. So in the mornings, I have a routine, and it's been something I've been doing for many, many years now, which really helps me reset every morning because sometimes you wake up, you're just naturally in a bad mood because you had a bad dream or you slept late or you're tired. And I always do my very best to be intentional about how I start my day or how I actually reset before I even go out into the world. So I do breathing exercises in the morning. I have meditation in the morning just for 5 minutes, just a intentional pause. And then I do EFT, emotional freedom technique. So it's a tapping technique that kind of moves your blocked energy throughout your body. And it just helps me calm down or helps me kind of shift a thought that might be on my mind that may not be so positive. And every morning I kind of feel like, okay, I can take on the world now. So just being able to do that every day becomes a habit.
Awesome. Well, we got our other guest here who made it on traffic. Mae McCarmo, come on up.
Fashionably late. Always in fashion. How are you?
Looking gorgeous.
I love the color coding here.
We did not send a memo out, but
really?
we manifested it.
Yes, I love manifesting stuff.
I love it.
We have Carol with us too, Mama.
Carol's there.
Hi, Carol.
Hi.
How are you?
So
Hey, you?
Fantastic.
I love it. So I gave your intro.
Oh, well, thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah. So we were just going over how you start your day. And because we were talking about Elaine's chapter and about gratitude and I just saying giving tips to everybody about how to start your day.
So my day, the first thing I do is I'm like, oh my God, I'm still here. Mm-hmm. After having breast cancer and being 11 years cancer free, I love and embrace every day. And then there you go. And then I tell God, thank you for being alive. And I put my hand on my heart and I feel it beating. And I go see my daughter because she's my everything. And I meditate. And then I go for a run. I usually run about between 5 to 7 miles in the morning.
That's, yes.
It's
Amen.
serious.
That'll put you in a good mood.
That'll get your endorphins
get
kicking.
everything pumping,
Yeah.
And I run, do weights, and then I come back and I juice and start my day. But it's about, spirit first. and mind and spirit, and take care of my body, and then I get going.
Yeah, I love it. Now, does anyone journal? Because this is the hot topic
Who has
that.
time for all that?
I mean,
I know.
I don't know.
On Facebook, I do.
On Facebook, I do exactly.
I used to journal a lot, but I don't have the time to really sit down and write every single thought. But I do have my gratitude log, so it's an intention for me every day to write down at least 3 to 5 things that
That's a good start.
just was something positive that happened. So it doesn't necessarily have to be gratitude per se, but it's just something that reminds me, okay, life is not so bad. Like they got some great things going on today. And even on the worst days, it's hard to find those 3, but I try and find them every day.
Yeah, I like to write, so I think that's something. Is for me, it's like I could write all day, every day. So I blog a lot, and I'm writing.
Well, you're a great writer.
Right now, I'm writing 3 books, just because I have all these different ideas.
Only 3.
Only 3.
Just 3.
But I just like to write. So I think for me, that's my journal, and I like to post a gratitude thing on Facebook every morning. So whether
your
it's
prayers are really good.
I love to, yes, so the
Yeah.
prayers. So
Yeah.
whether it's actual journaling or just telling people that, hey, you're here, I love you guys, we're together in this day, I support your intention for an amazing day, be who you were born to be.
Right. Yeah.
That's something that, it's kind of in a sense is journaling, but it's electronic, right?
Right.
Yeah.
No, I love that. I love that. So, since you were talking, why don't you talk about, because Mema wrote the foreword of the book, and then again, it's
I
available
did.
on Amazon.com, so you can go pick it
Say
up.
again, Amazon.com.
You guys know.
Amazon.com.
It sounds so sexy
Oh, and
when you
wait,
say
it's
it.
also Amazon.ca, right? Canada.
But also, guys, officially now, it's available on Barnes & Noble online.
Woo! Awesome. I love that, Bill.
I know.
Okay, and anywhere else that that books are sold online. So not just Amazon. You can go to your Barnes.
Oh,
Nice.
I can't wait.
So exciting.
I'm going to be casing the joint so I can find it.
Well, it'll be online, and if people want to have it in the store, you can always speak to the store manager.
Oh,
I'm gonna
that
put that on
sounds,
my
yeah.
to-do list.
Maybe they'll order a couple of copies.
So yes, people can, if you go into a store and it's not there, you can actually order a copy via the bookstore.
Oh, sure.
So sometimes when books don't carry a book in the store, you can order and have it shipped to your house or the bookstore for pickup as well.
Well, that's a
Yes.
good idea.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I got a little project for everyone after this.
Go to your local bookstore.
Local bookstore.
Order a book.
Order a book.
Like now.
Like now.
Tell us about the forward.
Well, the foreword, Carol and I connected, and I began to write, how you guys were amazing and all this stuff. And I'm like, but there's one thread that connects all of you, and that you're living fearless pursuit of being who you were born to be. I know each of you in very, different ways, some more intimately than others, but you guys, you're so unique, you're so individual, and you're so forward-thinking, and you're relentless in pursuit of your joy. And so when I thought about what one word described every woman in the book, it was fearless. And so I wrote the foreword around the word fearless. And so the first one I wrote was like, I got to get this done. I think it's good. And Carol's like, no, that's not really you. She goes, that's not really you. I'm like, okay, I'll sit down with some wine, and
I'll get
and I'm
flowing.
gonna pull into my source energy space, and that was what I felt. It was fearless.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so each word represents something around the letters. So I don't think I'm going to read everything, but if I may look at it for a moment. So where am I? Fearless. So I'll just go over a few of the words. So to me, the F in fearless meant freedom. You guys are you're being free in being yourselves and exercising your individual power in your lives. The E means endless possibilities exist for all of you. The A means awakening. The R means return to love for self first and then others. The L means life decisions. You guys all came to a place in your life where you thought, is this really who I am and what defines me? Or am I going to define myself and be who I was born to be? And made that decision. The E means every moment matters. And the S means self-love. And the last S, for my sisters, means strength.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's so powerful.
Yeah.
Oh,
And in the last bit, I talk about, you guys all being spiritually connected. That's so important as leaders. You have to know who you are in your spirit, in your core, and what your soul purpose is, and how, as you soar, you lift each other up. That's what I love about this woman. Everyone's lifting their friends up in their work. No one's out there for themselves. It's all about community and tribe, and I love that.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's great. Thanks, Mima.
Born to be me.
Born to be me.
And I think that, Mema really, I'm so blessed that Mema had agreed to write the foreword. And when I did read what she had submitted with Fearless, I just found that it was exact. Like it set the tone for the entire book. And it was just beautiful. It's beautiful. It's magic.
Well, these women are all setting the tone for other women, in their lives. And, we all go through struggle and challenges, but you guys, you're relentless. You're like Wonder Woman. Someone throws a boulder at you, you're like, I'm down, I'm going to get back up, and you just start running.
Yeah.
And all of you. And everybody in this book is that kind of person. Whatever came at her, whether it was love, love, losing a child, a marriage, a business, a health crisis, we didn't let that stop us, and that's so amazing to me. And the word fearless doesn't mean that you're not afraid. Fearless means that you will walk into the fear and say, I am the freaking damn fire. I'm going to burn, and I'm going to make my life matter. That's what you guys do. Every day.
Well, I will say that I really, really appreciated being part of a book with other women,
Yes.
Having never written a book before. And I'm always drawn to sort of kindred spirits or other people who are pursuing the same thing. And it felt so wonderful to be part of this group, this Sisterhood Folios. And with you women, I felt, someone asked me, how did you know now was the time? And I don't know if you heard it, Mema, but I said, you know what? When Mema brought it to my attention, it just felt right because I trust her. If it had come,
Absolutely.
I trust her. I trust that she knows what I just trust her intuition, and it didn't take much more for me. If it had come from some other random place, I might have been a little bit more reluctant, but I trusted you, and it just felt so good to be part of something with you ladies.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, and to Carol's credit too. Mema came and shared this with me, and I felt the same way, Elaine. I felt, okay, this is my sister. Mema and I go back over a decade, so we've been through so
Since
much
we were like
together.
10.
But then when we met Carol, it's the same thing. It's like finding another kindred spirit, and she is really in this for a bigger purpose. So it's not just about her publishing company. It's not just about her story. It's about the sisterhood. And that's what I appreciated too. I think Elaine, pre-show, we talked a little bit about what made this book different for me, because I have written other books and I collaborated before, but it was a business book. It was a business workbook. And although I honored and loved that collaboration, sharing these types of stories that are very personal and sometimes painful was kind of the sacred kind of knowing or trust that although we were publishing it for the world, there was still some sense of like, hey, I want to share this with my sisters. I feel safe. I feel protected. And the biggest hope for me personally is that those that pick up the book and read it do still feel like they're in a sacred space, even though it's published globally now and everybody in the world can read it. I still want them to feel safe when they're flipping through the pages, and then it hopefully empowers them to be more of themselves and just say it's okay to be where you are. If you're in the pit of it and in pain, hopefully they'll know there's a knowing or a trust that there is a lighter and brighter place at some point that they're walking toward. That's my biggest hope for the sisterhood, for the book.
Yeah, and we've all been there. You've been through so much, you, Jen, Elaine, all of us. But what this book is doing is revealing, who we are at our core and who we are when we were down. I firmly believe that friends that are with me when I'm going down, when I'm down actually, or in a bad place, are the ones I want when I'm up. And we're trusting people you guys are with your hearts and souls, and we're saying that we've been there. And so if you're there, it's okay. You will rise again. You will rise higher and burn brighter. But there's nothing wrong with being in a tough place. That's where the magic happens, right? And whenever you go through a tough time and you look back and you go, wow. But having women see our stories, your stories, and read them gives them the comfort knowing that they're not alone. Right. And they can be an Elaine or a Jen or a Molly or a Laura or Martha. And so, Carol, thanks for all you do to empower women everywhere through all these books. It's incredible, really.
It's unbelievable.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny that you had mentioned, Molly, that it felt or Elaine, that it felt like you were reading a diary. And somebody actually mentioned that to me when they had downloaded it, and then messaged me and said, I felt like I was, reading somebody's diary. Mm-hmm. And then I found myself in it. Right. Mm-hmm. And I could identify myself with all the women in the book. Mm-hmm. There was a piece of me with everyone, and I thought, yeah, that's exactly. I mean, even with my book, for like my own solo book, it's when you're so raw and real, it really does feel like you are having that intimate. It's an intimacy between you, your story, and the reader. And I think that's, the words are so powerful that it just hits home.
Absolutely. I think the book is so relatable to not only women, anybody, because at the end of the day, we all experience such a wide range of emotions. One of the couple things that I noticed that each writer talked about was self-doubt, right? There's a chapter, there's always some element of, I didn't doubt myself, or something didn't feel right, or something happened, some tragedy or some crux in their life had happened that caused them to doubt themselves or to really lean on themselves. And then you kind of go through the chapter seeing how they get through it. And some of them hit really rock bottom, as we all do in life sometimes. And then at the end, you kind of see people pulling themselves back up and being really grateful for that hard time. And so, as you said, it's okay to be down. That is going to happen. In fact, you should expect it. You should expect it, almost look forward to it. It's going to create who you were born to be. But knowing that, reading these stories and seeing those same themes weave throughout all the stories, even though they're totally different, but the same emotions. Absolutely. So I think it's really relatable to a lot of people.
Yeah, I think many women think that they can't write. People think, well, I can't write. I'm not a writer. Yeah. But what I found with writing, when you put the pen to paper or finger to the pad, mm-hmm. and you start to, express yourself, you begin to discover yourself more. Yeah. You discover things you didn't know were there. And so I think many of the women that have written here who haven't written before, I'm sure you guys were writing and going, did I really feel that? Because you're digging deep into who you were, where you were, what happened. Right. And you're having catharsis, but also really learning about yourself in a deeper, more meaningful way.
Yep, absolutely.
Did you guys feel that?
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
sure. Absolutely. I think also it's important to note for those that have ordered the book, mm-hmm. or are going to order the book, or will order the book, Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, Born to
Everywhere.
Be Me. I really think it's important to note that when you read the different chapters, there's some really tough moments. And there are stories of women who have kind of gotten to the other side, which is the brighter, lighter space. But there are women who are still in the midst of the discovery and the healing. And so I think there's a place for everybody to feel like the stories can meet them where they're at. So, if you might be in a position right now where you're in some type of deep sorrow or healing through something. So sometimes when you're in that place, you don't want to read a self-help book because it's like, it just tells me that they've gotten there already, but I'm not in the space to be reading this right now.
But no one's ever really there.
Right. No one's ever
I say that
really
all
there.
the time. I mean, I'm a hot mess sometimes, and I call some of y'all crying at nighttime or daytime on the way to my meetings. But we're never really there, and that's the point of the sisterhood, is that we're never always really there. It's the journey, it's the path. But being who you're born to be takes friends, women, sisters that support you along that journey.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about your chapter since you're on, because it's exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, so my chapter, I believe it's chapter 13, and it's called Infinite Souls. And, we did a live interview the other day, so forgive me, I'm repeating some of these things. But I realized when I was writing my chapter, because I had written my memoir, which was 6 years ago, that writing this chapter was so educational for me as a writer, because I really learned that you can tell your story in a different way. Even though the actual incidents and the things that took place still took place, the years, the dates, all the same. But my perspective, the lens I had back there that was still clouded with a little bit of grief, a little bit of residue of whatever, is much clearer now. So what I really appreciated about writing bits and pieces from the memoir and telling it differently was also a graduation in many ways of self, and that felt so good, and that gave me a lot of hope for maybe writing, you know, another version of myself and the story and the journey 5 years from now. So that was very liberating because it made me believe that all of us can really rewrite our lives. We don't have to be stuck in a specific place, time, mentality, and we don't have to stay a victim to something or circumstance. So that was very empowering. Infinite Souls is really all about connecting to relationships, whether you've lost them through a heartbreak, a breakup, or a physical loss, that they're no longer on this plane. And just honoring the fact that when you have an experience with another person, another human being, or another soul, that it is forever. And even if they're still alive, but they're no longer in your life, whatever they put inside your heart, the good stuff, is stuff you want to keep. And the stuff that weren't so good, release those, but hold on to the lessons. And that's really what Infinite Souls was all about.
That's a really great point. Yeah, I mean, you have to live and learn, right? But everyone's stories are like that. I mean, we're trying to be better and learn from our mistakes.
I love what you talk about, Molly, about having people in your life that some stay and some don't. Some leave willingly, but some leave because they transition to another plane. But you've taught me a lot about letting go of judgment and healing. I mean, you've been through so much, losing your fiance, you've lost people in your family, and you've always just kind of been able to release and heal. And that's a beautiful thing that you have in your spirit and soul.
It's a daily practice. So please don't think it's easy, but it's intentional. We want to live a beautiful life while we're here, because we don't have forever in this vessel. I like to call it a vessel because our souls are internal, but the vessel here is not. It's going to decay, it's going to get old, and it won't be here forever. And if you want to live in this vessel, but you're going through a lot of sorrow and pain and trauma, it is within your power and within your reach to change the things that no longer serve you, to find your joy, to manifest your bliss, and to soar in this lifetime. But it takes effort and it takes a commitment. And I think that's really one thing that can tie not just my chapter, but all of our chapters together, is that at some point in all of our journeys, we came to that crossroad that you were talking about, Elaine, and we had to make a decision. Do I stay here and do I stay in a place of sorrow, or do I do something about it and take a new direction? And sometimes making that decision to go in the direction is easier than actually doing it.
Absolutely.
And when you don't have friends or support system, or you don't get help like counseling or psychiatry or whatever it is, look at those things as a tool for growth and empowerment, not that you're weak. I think that's the biggest lesson.
Yeah, I mean, most highly successful people in business and that are out there, you know, they say famous, they all are coachable. They all have coaches. They all have mentors. They all have people they seek to find their, you know, where their weaknesses are, to strengthen those weaknesses, to make them feel better and continually to grow. And I think that's what makes, you know, them feel more fulfilled. I mean, I think the key crucial thing is to be coachable in life. I mean, that's what I talk about in my chapter.
And to always be learning.
You always be learning.
Every good leader learns. I mean,
Well, and Jen, before you also talk about your chapter, relating it back to the Dating Advisory Board, right? When we go through phases in our lives and we grieve a loss of a relationship, however you lost it, you have to do the work to attract someone in your life, because no one wants to be in a relationship where they feel darkness or heaviness. I mean, that's not their job to fix you.
It's not
There's
sexy.
not their job
Yeah.
to,
it's
make
not
you
sexy.
to make you right.
No.
Yeah. So to honor, the Dating Advisory Board and what this show is all about. I mean, Born to Be Me is not about like uncovering who you are. It's actually about remembering who you are, like in your original state of joy and bliss and purity, right?
and
That's
if you
really
know
what
who
it is.
that's so powerful. Thanks for bringing that back to that, because when you're dating, I mean, it's really about, if you know who you're born to be, and you're living in that space, people will come into your life and you'll realize quickly whether they belong there as a friend or a partner, long-term or short-term. when you don't know who you're born to be and you're kind of still figuring it out, sometimes you accept little toads that shouldn't be in your life. I shouldn't call them toads. You accept people that are in transition, they're in transformation. They're in transformation from into the prince, but they're not your prince.
They're not your prince.
But if you know and you're on that journey to figure out who you are, you can say to somebody, I care about you, and I bless you, but you're not the right person for me. And they're not a bad person. Yeah. I've dated many guys that things didn't work out and we're still friends because they're not bad. They're just not right for me.
Right.
But when you're born to be who you are and you know who you are and you're in your authentic space,
thank you.
It's okay to say, I love you, boo.
I love you, boo.
Just I aim for you.
Yeah.
I aim for you. But I love you. We can hang out. We can have drinks. But either way, it's really about knowing who you are. And being honest about who you are.
And just knowing, like, how does that person make you feel, right, when you're in their space, right? I mean, I take that from, friends, obviously, because that's the people who you surround yourself will determine how you will show up in the world. I'm a firm believer in that, right? And if you go into dating, I mean, think about that. How does that person make you feel when you're in with them, right? Do they make you feel safe? Do they make you feel cared for? Do they respect you? I mean, that's the number one thing.
You feel supported,
right? And does this person have my back if zombies come down the road with
zombies that eat brains or just regular zombies?
I mean, it just
once
depends.
they don't eat brains, I got your back, girl.
Right, exactly.
If they eat brains, I'm like, here's my shoes. Here's my shoes, my purse, my money. God.
Have you guys read the book The Secret?
Yes.
It's
oh my
such
God.
a great book, and it talks about a lot. I'm all about kind of like, I want to, what's the word? I want to bring forth the things that I want to happen to me. So I try to put out the energy that I'm seeking. And once I learned that, and again, we are all continuing to learn and to grow and making mistakes and still carrying on. But once I learned that secret, it has really made my life so much easier because I feel like, in terms of how other people are making me feel, sometimes I think, you know what? I can completely shift that. It's like Jedi mind tricks. I can totally shift that person's energy by emitting what I want to receive. So if I want to feel supported and understood, you know what? Let me slow down. Am I being supportive? Am I understanding someone else? Or am I sitting here wanting all of these things but not giving it out? And once I realized how powerful that energy was and how in control of it I was, man, I play some tricks with people. Just kidding.
It's powerful.
Yeah, it's very powerful because you can literally kind of create the environment that you
create
want.
Everything.
Yeah, you can create
There's
anything.
a book by Byron Katie called Loving What Is.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
My friend Bruce Van Horn sent me a copy when I was going through a breakup earlier this year, and I was like having a tough time. And he's like, you have to love where you are. Yeah. And he said, you have to love everything about it. It's helped me with my daughter, having a teenage daughter, with my friends, with everything, because what happens is we attract certain things in our lives to teach us. Yeah. Then we say, well, I don't want the lesson. It's too painful.
Right.
And then, but you're attracted that to learn for a reason. And and as you evolve, other people around you evolve. And the book has several questions it puts you through. And it asks you, is this true? Is it absolutely true? If it wasn't true, what would be true instead? And then what do you want to be true? Right. And so I thought, if this person's, whoever, let's say someone made me mad, how do I, whether it's dating, friendship, whatever, even myself, how am I being?
Make myself mad.
How can I, how am I being, and how can I change what I'm thinking? When you change what you're thinking, your emotions change, your actions change, and people around you change.
Right. That's true. I mean, think about it. So in my chapter, The Last Mile, so my chapter is called The Last Mile, and I always go back to, I wrote about my 17-year-old self, right? So I think that is right in my mind. That, I mean, I knew where I was going. I was 24 in the country trying to get a scholarship to play tennis, and I was in an all-day summer camp, and I am tired. Michigan summers are brutal. I mean, you're talking 90 degrees plus humidity. I was done 8 hours in, right? And so my dad picks me up, and we're driving home, and I'm, out in the car as soon as the air conditioning hit my face. Yeah, night, okay? I was out. And so all of a sudden, I remember, I feel like the bump on the road, and I'm like, wow, why are we on a dirt road? Well, my dad said, stops the car. He says, get out. And I said, you're crazy, Ricky. I'm not getting out of this car right now. And I said, what do you want me to do? And he says, you're going to run the last mile home. And I said, no, I'm not. I said, do you hear those pheasants out there? There's wild animals, the aerial attacks and this ground assault attacks on my ankles. I mean, it was crazy.
Were there pheasants, really?
Yeah, pheasant. Oh, honey, there's wild dogs. I didn't write the wild dogs part in the book, but it's a true story. I have a funny video. It's true. I have a funny video. My mom.
I'm sorry. Where did you grow up?
Yeah, Michigan. I mean,
In Africa, Liberia. Like I didn't see you in
there's some
Liberia.
pheasants. They hunt a lot there. Okay, they eat them. Okay, so, but the whole point is that I obviously had to run, and he was Rocky style behind me. But the whole premise is I'm pivoting over potholes, like trying to escape the wild animal kingdom, trying to come at me. But I can't see where I'm going. I'm running. I can't see my house, but I know it's there. And so I had, visualization is key and be successful. And visualizing where you want to go, what you want to do. And so I did it. And my dad, said, well, yeah, I knew you could do it. But the whole premise was that he was teaching me a metaphor for my life. Like, even though when you think you're done, you're not done, and you just have to, dig in a little bit deeper and run that last mile. And I talk about how I look back in love and loss and kind of everything in between in the book. And I say to myself, look and say, okay, if I'm in that situation where I don't know what I should be doing right now, I need to say, what would that, 17-year-old self say to me right now if she was sitting across from me? Would she have a stern conversation, right? Mm-hmm. Because she knew what she was doing. She was a badass. She knew exactly what she wanted to do. And I did achieve that goal. I did play #1 for Coastal Carolina. So I put it out there, put it in the universe, that this is what I wanted to do. And even though I was going through things, when I had to pivot, when things were going as planned, and, my mom passed away right before, unexpectedly before I went to college, and, other things along the way. But I could have just sat there and be like, oh no, I'll give up. Like, I'm not going to run. Right? But I don't want to live in regret, being 90 years old, being like, oh, you know what? If I just would have run that last mile on this one thing, would that have shifted my life course?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And back to the dab, you tell people to run the last mile in that way as well. Yeah. You might have a relationship that doesn't work out the way you want for it to.
Right.
But you have to, like you said, dig deep into yourself. Look at what happened. Look at what part of it is your responsibility, because you're two people are in a relationship,
Right, absolutely.
You dig deep, you ask the questions, and then you go one more mile, and you try again.
One more mile.
And then you
keep
find,
it moving.
and you keep it moving, and
Yeah.
you find somebody, better, stronger, more compatible with you. Mm-hmm. And that's how it happens. So it's all about digging deep, being authentic, going the last mile, like Molly talked about, like really looking into yourself to figure out, who you are, what your purpose is, and it's so important. You guys are so amazing.
Thank you.
You all are. I mean, think about that too. You made a really good point. You said, if you're sitting there and you're like, I have these people, I hear this, well, like, I got to wait till this is perfect and before I start a relationship, or I got to wait till everything's lined up. Guess what? You're going to be waiting your entire life, and shit will pass you by so fast, because it doesn't work. Life doesn't work that way. They're not like, okay, let's make sure we got everything on point for her and everything's going the way she wants it to go, or he wants it to go. That doesn't work that way. That's not.
So Molly, tell her how we roll. So we've sat down before at breakfast or lunch and say, we have this dream to do this big thing, and we'll sketch it out. And we just kind of just get shit moving. Mm-hmm. People are like, how are you going to do that? I don't know.
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out, because if you have a vision and faith in God, you figure shit the hell out.
Yeah.
And you have your friends support you along the way, and you have your tribe, and so faith, tribe, and just get the plane flying is everything.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The key is keep moving, and the
Keep
key is
moving.
go that last mile, because there's a small population of the world who would go the last mile. I mean, it's hard, so
It's
you
hard to
give
dig
up.
deep. Yeah.
And most people, when they're tired, they just stay in bed and pull the covers over their sheet. It's okay to rest. That's not the point.
Right.
But you give up before you get there.
Yeah.
And I think, a lot of people also haven't learned, and we're still learning, how to really listen to our intuition, because our intuition, our soul knows, right? Like, when it's time to give up and do a soft surrender for now, that's also key. But if you don't trust your intuition, you won't know if you're giving up too early or if it's really time to let this go.
And also too, I work in the cancer space, and a lot of women need this book. A lot of women are struggling where they think that I work a 9-to-5 job, I have 3 kids, I have cancer, now I'm metastatic. I'll never ever be a Molly or a Jen or an Elaine. I'll never be a Laura or Dr. Kim. And I was once that girl in the bed, sick, and thought I thought that was it. My life was over. Mm-hmm. But I had people around me who said, I see a vision for your life that you can't yet see. They were my tribe. So you guys, it's so important to always have people around you, sisters, like in the folios, that believe in you to pull you back up.
Yeah, and that's Carol. I mean, Carol, because we got a few minutes, I want to make sure that you talk about your chapter too.
Yes,
thank
Carol.
you.
She's so quiet over there.
Yeah, I know.
And she's
I know.
never quiet.
I'm listening to all of you wonderful women and how you're talking about your chapters and how we can and really inspiration has no gender and it has no age. So I mean my chapter is about I'm too sexy / fat for, and it's about self-worth, and self-esteem and body image. And I think that even throughout, and part of it, I do make it a little bit comical and almost like kind of laugh at myself, and understand that, we go through stuff, and it's about accepting yourself for the way you are. But, we're constantly bashing ourselves. And, the first world problems are that, we can't get back into our skinny jeans, or even the fitness buffs are obsessed with how they're looking, and I, doing things in my life and understanding that I had no self-worth, and I was that girl that was constantly beating herself up. And you know what, I've been a size 2 and I've been a size 22, and so I think that, and then you go through things in your life, and understanding and going back into the dating space and understanding that, you know what, I don't look like I did when I was dating when I was 20. Mm-hmm. And I understand now that I don't have to. Mm-hmm. And I love myself. Now that does not mean, and I preface this by saying that you can love yourself but know that you want to make changes. Mm-hmm. Right? So I think that you can come to terms that, you know what, I am me, and I accept myself and my body and how it shifted and what I need to do to make me feel beautiful. But I'm always beautiful, and know that I'm always beautiful. Mm-hmm. And that is, I think, the essence of it. And when you go out into the world and you have that self-love, instead of looking in the mirror, and trust me, I've done this, look at and called myself names to the mirror. Oh my God, you look like a big fat pig. That's what I would say to myself. Well, how do you think when you're going out to the world, what do you think you're going to be attracting?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Right? Same thing going out on a date. If you have that kind of feeling about yourself, how can you actually have somebody and attract somebody who is going to treat you the way you should be treated if you can't even treat yourself right?
That's right. And that energy is powerful, whether you say it or verbalize it or not. If you feel that way and you're going out into the world, you're not your most confident self. Mm-hmm. And then that's, what you're attracting as well.
I really appreciated your chapter so much, Carol, because, what really resonated with me is that, perception on the outside, right, could be that, I used to be really, really thin, and now I'm a little bit more chubby, right? But when I was really thin, I was actually internally not as happy and as calm and as in balance and harmony holistically that I am now that I'm a little bit more chubby than I was before, even 3-4 years ago. Yeah. But I think the key is to find the balance, because even though I'm not happy 100% with my body now, I want to hold on to the spiritual side of my happiness and find that balance, right? So I think each person's size is individual. And I know plenty of friends who are so thin, but that's not naturally their body style, and they don't feel well. Their body's telling them otherwise. Mm-hmm. So we have to, instead of think about what other people are thinking about what we ought to look like, because she used to look like this, and it's really about how do we feel? How do we feel holistically. When I look in the mirror, do I feel good about my body?
Right.
And when I look at my physical, do I feel good as well?
Yeah.
By the way, you're not chubby. You're luscious.
Yes, I'm luscious.
I
You're
love you,
luscious.
girls.
I can,
love you.
I can
girls.
receive that now.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, well, we have to wrap up, unfortunately, because we have another show, but you have to stay tuned because we are going to be on the Renee Allen show as well. So stay on. We are coming back for more on WLVS. But make sure you go and buy the book, support these amazing, courageous women who spoke their truth and their authenticity with their own personal strengths and losses. So,
Thank you so much.
oh, thank you
us.
guys.
Thanks for
Thank you
having us,
very
Jen.
much. Thank you. All right, have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.
All right,
We
see
love
ya.
you,
Bye.
Carol.
Love you, Carol.
Love you, Carol.
See ya. I'm still on Facebook Live. So.
Okay.
Tune in to the Dating Advisory Board show Wednesdays at 6 p.m. to learn how to lead your love life like a CEO leads a company, the Business of Dating show. We discuss how to approach romance like you would approach the boardroom, with confidence, grace, and focus. Learn how to advocate for your needs, brand you, determine your core non-negotiables, create a board of advisors, and more. After all, the key to success is collaboration, both in business and personal relationships. Make sure that the reflection in the mirror is the best version of yourself before you start swiping right. This is Jen Hecht, Chairwoman of the Dating Advisory Board, and welcome to the show.